What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. I'm Harrison and you are here for Tutorial Tuesday. What is Tutorial Tuesday? Tutorial Tuesday is every single Tuesday I teach you how to draw some of your favorite characters. Today we are drawing the cutest little, most annoying little singly little Pokemon there ever was, Jigglypuff. Now, aside from Jigglypuff being very, very annoying, she is pretty cute, and I think it's a fun little drawing. It's super simple, super straightforward, and I think we can get it done pretty quick. So grab your pencils, pens, sketchbooks, and Pokeballs, and let's dive on into this one. So, in the center of our page, or wherever you want to put down your Jigglypuff, you can just draw a nice, big circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, we just want to make sure we get our circle. Because Jigglypuff is primarily just a round ball with some arms, feet, and ears, and eyes, this is pretty much the basic shape that you need to draw her. So for the little hair swoop, we'll just draw a little oval right there. Gotta add her cat-like ears, so add a triangle there. Triangle there. Try to keep them roughly the same size. For Jigglypuff's feet, there's gonna be like a round little oval and another round oval there. For the hands, another like rounded triangle shape, and then this one's going to be, instead of off the side, it's going to be inside of the circle, barely coming out of the circle edge. And these are all the different extremities and things that Jigglypuff has. For the eyes, they are dead center in the face. And then the mouth. So this looks like a scribbly mess, and that's quite all right. We just want to make sure that everything that we need to put in the details is there. These are our guidelines. These are where we're putting down our next steps. So moving on through this process, now that we have our basic guidelines there, we can now go in and start refining some of these shapes that we've put down. So we do know that we want to keep this side of the circle. We want to leave some room for just a little opening to indicate that this hand is attached. And then we'll pick it up and this will swoop down. We'll do the same thing at the foot, leave a little gap. And then this side will continue all the way. Stop right at this hand and continue on. We can define the shape of this ear, let it come to a point. And you want it to bow outwards. You want it to kind of arch to a point. What we want to do is not make that connect all the way. Just like that. And you can add the interior ear. Just like so. You're going to be copying the same shape. I would recommend adding a little bit more thickness on the top of the ear just so that there's some definition and you can show that there's some form to the actual ear. We can repeat that on this side as well. And because there's a gap missing, we can follow this curve and use it for the interior ear, but we're not going to connect that line all the way. We can define this hand a little bit. And then this one as well. The foot is basically staying the shape. It's going to be the same shape, just not connecting all the way through the circle. So actually, before we move on to the eyes and the hair, I've made Jigglypuff's hands a little too high up. So we can take out our eraser. And I guess this is a great time to point out that it's important to draw light. I know I'm pressing down hard because I wanted to lock in a lot of these lines, but looking at my reference, I realized that they're a little too high up, and I should have checked in a little bit sooner, because now this might be harder to erase once we're ready to finalize our piece. We might end up with that pencil mark there in our final product. So it's important to continually check with your reference to make sure that everything is proportioned right and that you're not doing things a little out of skew. So I want to add her arm down here, and then actually what I should have done was just drawn a guideline just so that everything's in line. And this is really more where the hand should be. It's not much further down, but it's still a good amount down. And now, with the eyes, we can solidify these nice round giant eyes. And these we want on the same plane as well. And then also there's an interior eye. Let's just make sure that that's on the same. And then don't forget the little highlights. And then now for the hair, the little puff that makes her Jigglypuff. So we want this to swoop up. It's almost like a backwards J, or like if you're making the letter G. So it's gonna start and hook up and over. And then this part where you're making that, like, where it looks like the G, is going to come in an S curve. And this will connect in there like that. And you can make this as big or as thick or as wide as you want. If you want a big poof, you can. I'm just going to adjust this part right here. And then her smile should be right here. And just like that, we have Jigglypuff. So I'm going to shade in the ears because those are going to be inked black. Just like that. And now for our final step before we get into the inking, we're just going to go through. And I know I just shaded in the ears. I probably should have waited. But we're going to go and lightly erase.
Now that just pisses me off.
Everything we just put down. We just want to erase lightly enough that all of our sketchy lines are gone. And what we can do, and I know I've talked a lot about this in the past, is you're going to take a softer lead pencil, and this is a 6B. It's going to give us a nice thick pencil line, and we're just going to confirm the lines that we actually want. So starting from here, you can see how much thicker and how much darker this pencil lead is. I'm not pressing any harder than I would with my normal pencil. It's just the type of lead. It's a really soft lead. And you can get these anywhere, your local art store, on Amazon. Sometimes they come in kits with other sorts of pencil leads. And there we have it. There is our Jigglypuff. You can think about using the 6B pencil as your like pencil inking if you want. You can completely leave the drawing just like this if this is the preferred style that you like. However, I'm going to ink it. I always like a nice inked final piece. I'm just going to slide this paper underneath so that we don't get any bleeding. And then using a 0.8 micron, I'm going to go through and outline. And I'm actually going to hold off on the interior circle for right now. I have a plan and I will show you just as soon as I am done getting all the other pieces inked. So because Jigglypuff is a complete circle, I really want to make sure that this circle is super crisp. Let's see if we can find. We might be, our circle, we might not be in any of these circle families. We might just be outside of the circle that we need. So this is what we're going to do. We'll pick one. And we'll follow it very closely. And sometimes that happens. I probably should have used this circle template way sooner, but things happen and we can still adjust. We haven't committed a lot of our lines yet to their final ink, so it all worked out. We can also use it for this. We can do the same technique because Jigglypuff's eyes are not complete circles. We can still use it to help us get a nice curved edge. It's a little tough with an oval, so they do make these templates as ovals. I just don't happen to have one. If you are planning on drawing quite a bit of ovals in your drawings, I would definitely recommend getting one of those. And then grabbing a Sharpie, we can fill in the ear. Now the last thing we want to do before we erase is just wait 15 to 20 minutes, let that ink set. We don't want anything to smudge and pull off the page. It's just best to do that. You never know what could happen. Now to erase, I am using my trusty kneaded eraser and I'm just going to go very softly in circles. Some of these areas you might need to press a little firmer just because the pencil we put down before was so rough, so we might need to use a plastic eraser. I really prefer the kneaded eraser because it really is nice and can pick up pencil really easily without a lot of effort. The only problem with the plastic eraser, and I love it because it's like your heavy duty, it's like if the kneaded eraser was a screwdriver and your plastic eraser was a drill. That's kind of how I see it. The plastic eraser is like, I will get it done no matter what you put at me. And the kneaded eraser is like, I'm here for like really simple cleanup. The only problem with the plastic eraser is it leaves behind rubber shavings, whereas the kneaded eraser does not. So we can clean up some of these lines a little bit. I really wish I had a oval template because I feel like the eyes are suffering just ever so slightly. And the last little bit of fun we can do is I'm going to take a pink felt tip and just fill in the eyes. I wish I could fill in the entire body of Jigglypuff, but we would be here for hours. Maybe not hours, but definitely a long time. And I personally think that does just enough to the drawing that gives it a pop and doesn't look super flat. And here is our Jigglypuff. This was super fun, super easy. I loved it. I always like drawing Pokemon because they are very simple creatures to draw. They're very simple shapes, and I feel like most everyone can get a drawing out of it. If you enjoyed today's lesson, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and once you do, hit that bell notification so you know when I upload the next. If for some reason you did not enjoy today's lesson, please let me know down in the comments why that was. Is there something that I can do better to help you learn the characters that you want to know how to draw? And on that note, if there is a character that you have yet to see that you would love to know how to draw, please let me know who that character is and I would be happy to add them to the ongoing list. If you've been following along with Tutorial Tuesday for the last 6 months, I would love to see all of the progress that you're making. Please tag me on Instagram and TikTok, and I would love to see the work that you're up to. You can also follow me there and see what I'm doing day to day, as well as the other tips and tricks that I'm posting frequently. Thank you so much for joining me on another awesome and fun Tutorial Tuesday. Keep practicing, keep drawing, never give up, and I will see you next week back here with another awesome tutorial. Bye, guys.